If you're just joining us, let me catch you up, but first, you'll find the link to part 1 in the description below if you want the full story from the beginning. My name is Emily Carter. I'm a photographer, and in part 1, I told you about the night that changed everything. The night I finally confessed my feelings to Alex Bennett, my best friend's billionaire sister. We kissed in a moonlit garden. We opened up about our fears and past hurts. We spent our first night together in my tiny Brooklyn apartment, and for a few hours, everything felt perfect. But falling in love was just the beginning. What I didn't know that night was how hard it would be to build a relationship when our worlds were so different. How it would feel when the media found out. How we'd have to fight for what we had when everyone else questioned if it could last. This is part 2 of our story. This is where Alex and I learned what it really means to fight for love. This is where everything got real. We climbed the 4 flights of stairs in silence, our footsteps echoing in the narrow stairwell. My heart hadn't stopped racing since we left the car. Alex was coming up to my apartment. She was going to see how I really lived, the peeling paint, the cramped spaces, the evidence of a life built on passion instead of profit. At the 3rd floor landing, I heard her breathing a little harder. Not used to walk-ups? I teased gently, trying to calm my own nerves. She laughed, slightly breathless. I have a penthouse with a private elevator. This is, she gestured at the flickering hallway light and chipped walls. Different. Welcome to how the other half lives. We reached my door on the 4th floor. I fumbled with my keys, suddenly hyper-aware of everything: the faded welcome mat, the neighbor's loud TV, the fact that my apartment was probably a mess. You really don't have to come in, I said, giving her one last out. It's late, and you probably have early meetings. Alex gently took the keys from my shaking hands and looked at me with those devastating green eyes. Emily, I want to be here. Stop trying to push me away. She was right. I was doing exactly that, giving her excuses, reasons to leave, because some part of me still couldn't believe this was real. I unlocked the door and turned on the lights. Alex stepped inside, and I held my breath, waiting for her reaction. My studio apartment was tiny, maybe 400 square feet total. The kitchen was barely big enough for one person. My bed was in the corner, unmade from this morning. My second-hand couch had a blanket draped over it to hide the worn upholstery. Everything was cluttered but clean, cramped but lived in. But Alex wasn't looking at any of that. She was looking at the walls. Every single wall in my apartment was covered with photographs. Some were framed. Most were just tacked up with pushpins. Wedding shots, portraits, candid street photography, nature scenes. My entire portfolio displayed like a gallery that had run out of space. Emily, she breathed, moving closer to examine them. These are... I know. It's a lot, I said quickly. I just never have enough wall space, and I like being surrounded by... Beautiful. She turned to look at me. They're beautiful. You're incredibly talented. Warmth spread through my chest, pushing away some of the anxiety. She moved slowly around the room, taking time with each photograph, really looking at them, not just glancing politely. This one, she pointed to a photo of an elderly couple dancing at their 50th anniversary. The way you captured the light in her eyes, the way his hand rests on her waist like she's the most precious thing in the world. It's not just a photo, it's their entire love story in one frame. That was one of my favorite weddings, I said softly, coming to stand beside her. And this, she indicated a street photograph I'd taken in Manhattan, a little girl jumping over a puddle, frozen mid-air, pure joy on her face. You don't just take pictures, Emily. You tell stories. You capture souls. No one had ever understood my work like this. No one had ever looked at my photographs and seen what I was trying to say with them. Can I ask you something? Alex said, still studying the photos. Of course. Why photography? What made you fall in love with it? I'd been asked this question before, usually by clients making small talk. But the way Alex asked, like she genuinely wanted to understand, made me want to tell her the real answer. I sat down on my worn couch. Alex joined me, maintaining a careful distance between us, like she was waiting for permission to get closer. When I was 16, I started. My mom got sick. Cancer. She spent months in the hospital, and I spent months visiting her. It was awful. The sterile white walls, the beeping machines, the smell of antiseptic. Everything felt scary and uncertain. Alex's hand found mine, squeezed gently. I held on. One day, I brought a disposable camera to the hospital. I started taking pictures of her, not the sick version, but the real her. Laughing at terrible jokes, reading her favorite books, looking out the window at birds. And those photographs, my voice cracked. They reminded us that she was still herself, that life was still happening, even in the hardest moments. Did she? Alex asked gently. She survived. She's been in remission for 11 years now. I smiled through the tears that had gathered in my eyes. But those photographs taught me something. Photography isn't just about capturing pretty moments. It's about bearing witness. It's about saying, this matters. This person matters. This moment is worth remembering. Alex was quiet for a long moment. Then, show me more. Tell me the stories behind them. So I did. For the next hour, I walked her through my apartment, explaining the photographs on the walls. The couple who'd eloped in Central Park during a rainstorm. The quinceañera where the birthday girl's dress caught on fire from the candles and everyone had laughed instead of panicked. The proposal that went hilariously wrong when the ring fell into a storm drain. But they got engaged anyway because the love mattered more than the ring. Alex listened to every story, asked questions, laughed in all the right places. And somewhere during that hour, the distance between us on the couch disappeared. We ended up sitting close, her shoulder pressed against mine, her hand still holding mine like she'd forgotten to let go. Or maybe she just didn't want to. Can I tell you something? Alex said finally, her voice quiet. Of course. She took a breath, like she was gathering courage. 5 years ago, I was engaged. I went very still. I hadn't known that. His name was Marcus, she continued. He was perfect on paper. Harvard educated, family money, charming. We met at a charity auction. Dated for a year. Got engaged at some luxury resort in Bali that I barely remember because I was on my phone the whole time dealing with a crisis at work. She laughed bitterly at the memory. What happened? I asked softly. I found out he'd been cheating on me. With 3 different women. For most of our relationship. Her voice remained steady, but I could see the pain in her eyes. And the worst part? He didn't cheat because he loved them. He cheated because he was bored, because I worked too much, because I wasn't fun anymore. Alex. My heart broke for her. After that, I built walls. Big ones. I told myself it was better to be alone than to risk that kind of humiliation again. Better to focus on business, on things I could control. She turned to look at me, but then James started talking about his photographer friend, the one who made him laugh, the one who saw the world differently, and I got curious. Curious enough to show up at his graduation party? Curious enough to break my own rules. She reached up and touched my face, her fingers gentle against my cheek. And then I met you, and you were nothing like what I expected. You looked at me like I was a person, not a business opportunity or a trophy wife. You asked me if I was happy, not successful, not accomplished, but happy. And I didn't even know how to answer because no one had asked me that in so long. What would you answer now? I whispered. She smiled, soft and real. Now? I'd say I'm getting there. Because of you. The space between us felt charged, electric. I could feel her breath, see the way her eyes dropped to my lips. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. Be vulnerable. Be open. Let someone in. I've spent 5 years keeping everyone at arm's length. Then learn, I said, echoing what I'd told her in the garden. Right here, right now. Stop being afraid. What if I mess this up? What if I hurt you? What if you don't? She smiled at me, throwing her own words back at her. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. You keep waiting for the worst-case scenario. What if you tried waiting for the best one instead? That's not how my world works. Then maybe it's time to change your world. The silence that followed felt heavy with possibility. I could hear the clock on my wall ticking, the faucet in my kitchen dripping. I really did need to fix that. My own heartbeat. Alex leaned forward slowly, giving me time to pull away if I wanted to. I didn't want to. Our lips met, softer than in the garden, less urgent, more intentional. Like we were both acknowledging that this wasn't just a moment anymore. This was a choice we were making together. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "Stay," I whispered. "Just for a little while." She hesitated. I could see the internal debate, the responsible part of her that had meetings and obligations warring with the part that just wanted to be human for once. "Okay," she finally said. "For a little while." I made tea because I didn't have the fancy coffee she was probably used to. We sat on my small couch, close together, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about growing up with impossible expectations, about taking over Bennett Couture at 26 when her father got sick, about missing normal experiences, college parties, road trips, lazy Sundays because she was always working. I told her about growing up working class, about choosing photography over a stable career and the constant fear that I'd made the wrong choice, about eating ramen for dinner most nights but feeling rich when I captured the perfect shot. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Choosing passion over security?" "Every month, when rent is due," I admitted with a laugh. But then I look at these photos on my walls, and I remember why I do this. I'm building something that matters to me. Even if it's small, even if it's hard. "It's not small," Alex said firmly. "What you do, capturing people's most important moments, making them feel seen, that matters more than most things people spend their lives doing. Even more than running a fashion empire? Especially more than that." She smiled sadly. "Fashion is beautiful, but it's fleeting. Trends change, clothes wear out. But photographs? They last forever. They become family heirlooms. Proof that people existed, that they loved, that their lives mattered. I'd never thought about my work that way." "You should paint," I said suddenly. "What?" "You told me at James's graduation that you always wanted to paint. You should do it. Not for business, not for profit. Just because you want to." I wouldn't even know where to start anymore. "So start badly. Start messy. That's how all art begins." I squeezed her hand. "You spend so much time being perfect, Alex. Maybe you need to do something just for the joy of it. Something that doesn't have to be good or profitable or strategic." She looked at me with such tenderness it made my chest ache. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "Make everything seem possible." "Because it is possible. You just have to let yourself try." She pulled me closer, wrapping her arms around me. We sat like that, holding each other, until I felt her breathing slow and deepen. "Alex? Are you falling asleep?" "Maybe." Her voice was drowsy. "This is nice. You're comfortable." I smiled against her shoulder. "Come on. Let's get you to bed." "I should go home. You're exhausted. And it's almost 2 in the morning. Stay, please." She was too tired to argue. I led her to my bed, just a full-size mattress with mismatched sheets, nothing like whatever luxury bed she had at home. But when she lay down, she sighed like it was the most comfortable place in the world. I lay down beside her, and she immediately pulled me close, tucking me against her chest. "Thank you," she murmured into my hair. "For what?" "For seeing me. The real me. Not the CEO or the Bennett name, just me. Always," I whispered. Within minutes, her breathing evened out completely. She was asleep, holding me like I was something precious she was afraid to lose. I stayed awake a little longer, listening to her heartbeat, feeling the rise and fall of her chest. This woman, brilliant, powerful, vulnerable, had chosen to let me in, had chosen to stay, had chosen me. And lying there in my tiny apartment with its leaky faucet and second-hand furniture, I felt like the richest person in the world. Because love, real love, isn't measured in bank accounts or square footage or fancy cars. It's measured in moments like this. In trust given. In walls coming down. In choosing to be vulnerable with someone who sees you and stays anyway. I pressed a soft kiss to her shoulder and let myself fall asleep, surrounded by photographs of other people's love stories, while living the beginning of my own. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my bedroom window and the smell of coffee brewing. Alex was already up, moving quietly in my kitchen. I smiled, listening to the domestic sounds, the clink of mugs, the coffee maker gurgling. She appeared in the doorway with 2 mugs, still wearing my oversized t-shirt, her hair messy from sleep. "Morning," she said softly, handing me a cup. "Morning." I took the coffee gratefully. "You're spoiling me. Get used to it." She sat on the edge of the bed, and we drank our coffee in comfortable silence, sunlight streaming through the window. For those few precious moments, everything felt perfect. But nothing stays secret forever. 3 weeks. That's how long Alex and I had been together. 3 weeks of secret text messages, stolen moments, and living in 2 separate worlds that felt impossible to merge. 3 weeks of the most terrifying, exhilarating happiness I'd ever known. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was in my tiny apartment editing photos from a wedding I'd shot over the weekend. My laptop sat on my thrift store coffee table, surrounded by empty coffee mugs and scattered memory cards. This was my life-organized chaos, creative mess, barely making rent but doing what I loved. My phone buzzed. A text from Alex. "Missing you? Lunch today? I can pick you up at noon." I smiled, that warm flutter spreading through my chest like it did every time I heard from her. Even after 3 weeks, it still felt unreal. Alexandra Bennett, brilliant, powerful, untouchable, was mine. Kind of. In secret, which was becoming increasingly complicated. I texted back, "Can't today. Have a client meeting at 1. Tomorrow?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "Tomorrow I'm in Boston for meetings. Thursday?" "Thursday works. Miss you too. Emily?" "Yeah?" I hate this. Hiding. Waiting days to see you. My chest tightened. I hated it too. But we'd agreed to take things slow, to figure out how to tell James together, to be careful. Except careful was starting to feel a lot like cowardly. "I know. Me too. We'll figure it out. Promise." "Okay. I have to go into a meeting. Think of me. Always." I set my phone down and stared at my laptop screen, but I couldn't focus on the photos anymore. All I could think about was the weight of the secret we were carrying. James still didn't know. We'd been meaning to tell him we'd talked about it a dozen times, but the right moment never seemed to come. He was busy with his honeymoon aftermath, settling into married life with Sophie. And every time I thought about sitting him down and saying, "Hey, so I'm dating your sister," my courage evaporated. What if he got angry? What if he felt betrayed? What if I had to choose between my best friend and the woman I was falling in love with? The buzzer for my apartment rang, jolting me out of my spiral. I wasn't expecting anyone. I pressed the intercom button. "Hello? Emily. It's me. Can I come up?" Alex's voice. My heart jumped. "I thought you had a meeting?" "I canceled it. Buzz me in, please." I pressed the button and heard the door unlock downstairs. Then I ran around my apartment like a maniac, shoving dirty laundry into my bedroom and trying to make the place look less like a disaster zone. By the time Alex knocked, I'd managed to clear the coffee table and light a candle to cover the smell of yesterday's takeout. I opened the door, and there she was. Wearing a gray power suit that probably cost thousands of dollars, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, looking completely out of place in my building's dingy hallway. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." I stepped aside to let her in. "I thought you couldn't do lunch?" I lied. She closed the door behind her and immediately pulled me into her arms. "I couldn't wait until Thursday. Is that pathetic?" I melted into her embrace, breathing in her perfume. "If it is, then we're both pathetic." She pulled back just enough to look at me, her green eyes searching mine. "I meant what I said. I hate hiding this. Hiding us. Alex? Let me finish. She took a breath. I know we agreed to be careful. I know we said we'd wait for the right time to tell James. But every day that passes, I feel like I'm lying to everyone. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of pretending you're just James's friend when you're so much more than that. My heart raced. What are you saying? I'm saying we should tell him. This week. Before I lose my nerve. Fear and relief crashed through me in equal measure. Are you sure? No. She laughed shakily. I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of losing you because we were too scared to be honest. I cupped her face in my hands. You're not going to lose me. Promise? Promise. She kissed me then. Soft and desperate. Like she was trying to memorize the feel of my lips. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. Stay with me today, she whispered. Come to my place. Let me cook you lunch. Let's pretend for a few hours that we don't have to hide. I should have said no. I had work to do. Deadlines looming, a business to run. But the vulnerability in her voice, the way her hands trembled slightly as they held mine, I couldn't refuse her. Okay, I said. Let's go. Alex's penthouse was everything I expected and nothing I was prepared for. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan, the city sprawling out below like a kingdom. Everything was sleek, modern, expensive marble countertops, designer furniture, art on the walls that probably cost more than my entire apartment building. I felt like an imposter standing in the middle of it all, wearing my worn jeans and faded sweater. Your place is... I struggled for words. Wow. Alex shrugged off her suit jacket and draped it over a chair. It's too big for one person. I barely use half of it. You have a view of Central Park. I know. She moved into the kitchen and started pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. Most days I don't even notice it. I'm usually at the office before sunrise and home after dark. I walked to the windows, pressing my hand against the glass. The city stretched endlessly in every direction. I can't imagine living like this. It's lonely. Her voice was quiet behind me. All this space, and most nights I eat dinner alone at my desk, looking at spreadsheets instead of sunsets. I turned to face her. She was unpacking groceries, her movements efficient but sad. Not anymore, I said firmly. She looked up, surprise flickering across her face. What? You said most nights you eat alone. Not anymore. Even if we can't go public yet, even if we have to be careful, you don't have to be alone. Something in her expression cracked open. Emily, I mean it. Text me when you're working late. I'll bring you dinner. We'll eat together, even if it's takeout at midnight. You don't have to do everything by yourself anymore. She set down the vegetables she was holding and crossed the kitchen to me, pulling me into a fierce hug. How did I get so lucky? She murmured into my hair. I ask myself the same thing every day. We stood like that for a long moment, holding each other in the middle of her enormous, empty penthouse. And somehow, with her arms around me, it felt less empty. Alex made pasta, actual homemade pasta, rolling out the dough by hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't know you could cook, I said, watching her work from my perch on a bar stool. My grandmother taught me when I was young, before the business consumed everything. She smiled at the memory. Sunday dinners were sacred in our family. No work talk, no phones, just food and conversation. That sounds nice. It was. She cut the pasta into neat strips. After my father got sick and I took over the company, those dinners stopped. Everyone was too busy, too stressed. We forgot how to just be together. Do you miss it? Every day. She looked up at me. That's what I meant earlier, about watching my life from a distance. I've spent so long building an empire that I forgot to build a life. I reached across the counter and took her hand. Then let's build one. Together. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated. She squeezed my hand. God, I hope you're right. We ate lunch at her dining table, which seated 12 but felt intimate with just the two of us. The pasta was incredible, and I told her so about 15 times until she laughed and told me to stop. "I'm serious," I insisted. "If the whole billionaire CEO thing doesn't work out, you could open a restaurant." "Noted." She smiled. "What about you? What's your backup plan if photography doesn't work?" "Bold of you to assume I have a backup plan." "Emily." "I'm kidding. Sort of." I twirled pasta on my fork. "Honestly, I never let myself think about a backup plan. Photography is it for me. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do." "That's brave." "That's terrifying," I corrected. "Every month, I wonder if I'll make rent. Every slow season, I panic that I've made a huge mistake. But then I photograph a wedding, or a family, or capture a moment that makes someone cry with happiness, and I remember why I do this. You're passionate about your work." Alex's gaze was soft. "I admire that. You're passionate about yours, too." "Am I?" She set down her fork. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm passionate or just trapped. My father built Bennett Couture from nothing. When he got sick, everyone expected me to take over. I never asked if it was what I wanted. What would you want? If you could do anything?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I think I'd want to paint. Actually paint, not just talk about it at parties. I'd want to travel without it being for business. I'd want mornings that don't start with emails and evenings that don't end with conference calls." She looked at me. "I'd want time for the people I care about. You can have that, Alex. You're the CEO. You make the rules. It's not that simple when thousands of people depend on you for their livelihoods." "I know." I reached for her hand again. "But you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself, too." "Is that what you are?" she asked softly. "Taking care of me?" "I'm trying to." She stood and walked around the table, pulling me to my feet and into her arms. "You do, you know. Take care of me. Just by existing. By reminding me what matters." I looked up at her. "What matters?" "This." She kissed my forehead. "You. Us. Building something real instead of just profitable." My phone buzzed in my pocket, breaking the moment. I pulled it out and saw James's name on the screen. "Hey, Sophie and I want to grab dinner this week. You free Friday?" Guilt stabbed through me. I hadn't seen James since the wedding. I'd been avoiding him, afraid that one look at my face and he'd know everything. Alex saw my expression. "What is it?" "James wants to have dinner Friday. Tell him yes." "Alex, Emily, we can't keep avoiding him. And honestly," she took a breath, "Friday would be a good time to tell him. About us. If you're ready." My hands started shaking. "At dinner? In public? We don't have to make it dramatic. We'll just tell him the truth. That we've been seeing each other. That we care about each other. He's your best friend. He'll understand." Would he, though? I wanted to believe that. But fear was a loud voice in my head, listing all the ways this could go wrong. "Okay," I heard myself say. "Friday. We'll tell him Friday." Alex pulled me closer. "Together?" "Together." The rest of the week passed in a blur of anxiety and preparation. I practiced what I'd say to James 100 different ways. I imagined every possible reaction, from acceptance to anger to feeling betrayed. By Friday evening, I was a nervous wreck. Alex picked me up at 7. She'd chosen a quiet restaurant in the West Village, intimate but not too romantic, casual but nice, neutral territory. "You okay?" she asked as we drove. "Absolutely not." My leg bounced nervously. "I might throw up." "Please don't throw up in my car." Despite everything, I laughed. "No promises." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "It's going to be okay. James loves you. He'll understand. You don't know that. I know my brother. He wants us both to be happy. And we are happy, aren't we?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. At the woman who'd rescheduled meetings to have lunch with me, who cooked me homemade pasta, who was willing to risk her brother's anger to be honest about us. "Yeah," I said softly. We are. We pulled up to the restaurant and I saw James and Sophie through the window, already seated at a table. My heart hammered. Last chance to back out, Alex said, but her hand was still holding mine. No backing out. I took a deep breath. Let's do this. We walked into the restaurant together. James saw us immediately and waved, his face breaking into that familiar grin. There she is. He stood to hug me. I was starting to think you'd fallen off the planet. Sorry. I hugged him back, guilt washing over me. I've been busy with work. I know the feeling. He hugged Alex next. Then we all sat down. Sophie smiled warmly. It's so good to see you both. The wedding photos came out amazing, Emily. Thank you again. It was my pleasure. We ordered drinks, made small talk, laughed at Sophie's story about their disastrous honeymoon flight. For a while, it felt normal, easy, like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I caught Alex's eye across the table. She gave me a small nod. Now or never. I cleared my throat. James, Sophie, there's actually something Alex and I wanted to talk to you about. James set down his menu, his expression shifting to concern. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Alex said quickly. Better than fine, actually. But we have something to tell you, and we wanted you to hear it from us. The table went quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. Emily and I. Alex reached under the table and found my hand. We've been seeing each other for the past few weeks. Since the wedding. Silence. James stared at us. Sophie's eyes went wide. Seeing each other. James repeated slowly. As in, dating? Yes, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. More silence. The longest silence of my life. Then James started laughing. Not angry laughing. Real, genuine laughter. Are you kidding me? He looked between us, grinning. Finally! I blinked. What? Dude, I've been waiting for this for like 2 years. You think I didn't notice you two making eyes at each other every time you were in the same room? Alex looked as shocked as I felt. You knew? Suspected strongly. He took a sip of water. Sophie and I actually had a bet going about how long it would take you two to figure it out. Sophie nodded, smiling. I said before the end of the year. James said 6 months. Looks like he won. I couldn't process what I was hearing. You're not mad? Mad? James shook his head. Emily, you're my best friend. Alex is my sister. You're both incredible people. Why would I be mad that you found each other? Tears pricked my eyes. I thought you'd feel betrayed. Or weird about it. I mean, it's a little weird, he admitted. But only because I'll have to watch you two be all coupley at family dinners. Otherwise? He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm happy for you. Both of you. Alex's hand tightened around mine under the table. I could feel her trembling. Really? She asked, her voice uncharacteristically small. Really? James looked at his sister with genuine warmth. Alex, you've been married to your work for years. It's nice to see you actually living your life for once. And if it's with someone as amazing as Emily, even better. I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. They spilled down my cheeks as relief flooded through me. Sophie handed me a napkin. We're really happy for you guys. Thank you, I managed. I was so scared. I know, James smiled. That's why it took you 3 weeks to tell me. But honestly, Em, did you really think I wouldn't support you? I didn't know what to think. Well, now you know. He raised his water glass. To my best friend and my sister. May you be as happy as Sophie and I are. We all clinked glasses, and I felt something heavy lift from my chest. The secret we'd been carrying was finally out in the open, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it felt like it was just beginning. Later that night, Alex drove me home. We were both quiet, processing everything. That went better than expected, I said finally. That's an understatement. She laughed, the sound full of relief. I can't believe he knew. He said he suspected. Same thing. She pulled up outside my building and turned off the car. Emily? Yeah? Thank you for tonight. For being brave enough to tell him with me. We did it together. We did. She leaned over and kissed me softly. No more hiding? No more hiding, I agreed. She smiled against my lips. Good. Because I'm tired of dropping you off at your door and driving away. I want to stay. Then stay. Really? Really. Come upstairs. Stay the night. Let's wake up together tomorrow and figure out what it means to do this for real. Her eyes sparkled. I'd like that. We climbed the 4 flights of stairs to my apartment, and this time when Alex walked through my door, it felt different. There was no secret weighing us down, no fear of being discovered, just 2 people who were falling in love, finally allowing themselves to be honest about it. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my bedroom window and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I was disoriented. I never woke up to coffee already made. Then I remembered. Alex. I sat up and found her side of the bed empty but still warm. I pulled on a sweatshirt and padded into my tiny kitchen. She stood at my counter in one of my oversized t-shirts, her hair messy from sleep, pouring coffee into 2 mismatched mugs. She looked so different from the polished CEO in designer suits. She looked real. She looked like mine. Morning, I said softly. She turned and smiled, that genuine smile that made my heart skip. Morning. I hope you don't mind, I made coffee. I definitely don't mind. I wrapped my arms around her waist from behind, resting my chin on her shoulder. You could get used to this, you know. Waking up here? I already am. She turned in my arms. Last night was the best sleep I've had in months. My lumpy mattress beats your luxury penthouse bed? When you're in it? Absolutely. I kissed her, tasting coffee and happiness and the promise of normal mornings like this. My phone buzzed on the counter. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then, again. You should check that, Alex said. I grabbed my phone and saw a string of notifications. Instagram tags, text messages, missed calls. My stomach dropped. What is it? Alex asked, seeing my expression. I opened Instagram with shaking hands. Someone had posted a photo from last night. James must have taken it at the restaurant. It showed the 4 of us at dinner, but in the photo, Alex's hand was clearly holding mine on top of the table. The caption read, "Double date night. So happy for these 2. And James had tagged both of us. Oh my God, I whispered. Alex took my phone and looked at the post. Her face went pale. He made it public. He probably didn't think. I stopped. How many people follow James? A few thousand. But his friends include journalists, business associates, people connected to Bennett Couture. Her hands started shaking. Emily, this is going to spread. Even as she said it, my phone buzzed with more notifications. Comments flooding in. Questions. Congratulations. And some that made my chest tight with anxiety. Wait, the Alexandra Bennett is dating a photographer? How did a regular person land a billionaire, LOL? Gold digger alert. I felt sick. Alex saw my face and immediately pulled me close. Don't read those. They don't know anything. Alex, people are going to think. I don't care what people think. But her voice was tight with tension. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Alex said. It rang again immediately. Different unknown number. Then, Alex's phone started ringing. She looked at the screen and closed her eyes. It's my PR team. You should answer. I don't want to. Alex, she answered, putting it on speaker. Hello? Miss Bennett. A woman's crisp voice filled my tiny kitchen. We have a situation. Photos of you with a woman went viral overnight. We're getting calls from media outlets asking for confirmation about your relationship status. We need to strategize a response immediately. What kind of response? Alex asked carefully. Ideally, we downplay it. Say you're just friends. The company's stockholders are conservative. We can't afford any controversy right now with the Tokyo expansion launching next month. My heart sank. I pulled away from Alex's arms. Downplay it, Alex repeated, her voice flat. Just until after the expansion launches. Then you can date whoever you want, but right now, the timing? No. Silence on the other end of the line. No? The PR woman repeated. No. I won't downplay it. Emily isn't just a friend. She's my girlfriend. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise to make stockholders comfortable. Miss Bennett, I understand emotions are high, but from a business perspective, Bennett Couture will survive me being in a relationship. And if our stockholders have a problem with who I date, they're welcome to sell their shares. I stared at Alex in shock. She met my eyes and took my hand. We'll release a statement, Alex continued. Something brief and professional. Alexandra Bennett confirms she's in a relationship and asks for privacy during this time. That's it. No apologies, no explanations. Another pause. If you're certain. I'm certain. Draft something and send it to me for approval. She hung up without waiting for a response. Then she pulled me back into her arms. You didn't have to do that, I whispered. Yes, I did. Your business. We'll be fine. And if it's not, I'll handle it. But I'm not hiding you, Emily. I'm not going to spend our relationship pretending you don't matter to me. I buried my face in her neck, overwhelmed. People are going to say terrible things. Let them. They're going to call me a gold digger. Say I'm using you. Anyone who knows you will know that's ridiculous. But they don't know me. They just see a nobody dating a billionaire and assume the worst. Alex pulled back and cupped my face in her hands, forcing me to look at her. You are not a nobody. You're a talented photographer building a career from scratch. You're kind and passionate and you see beauty in everything. You make me want to be better. And if people can't see that, that's their problem, not ours. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I'm scared. Me too. She wiped my tears with her thumbs. But we knew this wouldn't be easy. We knew people would judge us. The question is, are we going to let them win? Or are we going to fight for this? I want to fight, I said. But I don't know how. We fight by living our lives. By being happy. By refusing to hide. She kissed my forehead. We fight by staying together. The next few days were brutal. The photo from dinner spread across social media. Think pieces appeared in tabloids and gossip blogs. Billionaire CEO's secret girlfriend revealed. Who is Emily Carter? Inside Alexandra Bennett's surprising romance. Some articles were kind. Most weren't. People dissected every aspect of my life, my modest apartment, my used car, my small photography business. They questioned my motives, my character, my worth. The comments were worse. She's clearly using her for money. What does a billionaire see in someone so ordinary? This relationship won't last. She's just a phase. I tried not to read them. I failed constantly. My business took a hit. 2 clients canceled their bookings, saying they didn't want the media attention associated with me. Another one left a scathing review online saying they'd hired me before knowing I was that photographer. I cried in my apartment alone, questioning everything. Then Alex showed up at my door at midnight, still in her work clothes, carrying takeout and determination. I know you're reading the comments, she said, walking past me into the apartment. Stop it. I can't help it. Yes, you can. Here. She took my phone and put it in a drawer. No more scrolling. No more torturing yourself with strangers' opinions. Easy for you to say. You're used to media attention. And it still hurts every single time. She unpacked the food Thai from my favorite place. But I learned a long time ago that you can't live your life for other people's approval. You'll drive yourself crazy trying. I lost clients this week because of us. Her expression darkened. What? 2 bookings canceled. They don't want the drama. I laughed bitterly. Apparently being associated with me is bad for their events. Give me their names. Alex, no. Emily, give me their names. I'll personally call them and what? Threaten them? That'll make it worse. I sank onto the couch, exhausted. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Your world and mine don't mix. I'm hurting your reputation. And you're hurting my business. That's not true. Isn't it? I looked at her. Your PR team wanted you to deny our relationship. Your stockholders are uncomfortable. And I'm losing clients because people think I'm using you. Alex sat beside me and took my hands. Listen to me. My PR team works for me, not the other way around. The statement we released was exactly what I wanted, honest and unapologetic. And yes, some stockholders are pearl-clutching, but our stock price hasn't dropped. Bennett Couture is fine. But I'm not fine. My business will recover. Any client who cancels because you're dating me isn't someone you want to work with anyway. She squeezed my hands. And Emily? For every client you lost, I guarantee you'll gain others. People who admire your work. People who don't care about gossip. You can't know that. I can. Because I've been watching your Instagram. You've gained 5,000 followers this week. And half the comments on your photos are people praising your talent and asking about booking you. I hadn't noticed that. I'd been too focused on the negative. Really? Really. She smiled gently. The noise is loud right now, but it won't last forever. In a few weeks, some celebrity will have a scandal and everyone will forget about us. We just have to weather the storm. Together? I asked quietly. Together. She stayed that night, holding me while I finally let myself cry out all the fear and frustration. And when I woke up the next morning, she was still there. 2 weeks later, things started to shift. A major photography magazine reached out, the same one that had featured my work before. They wanted to do a profile piece, not about my relationship with Alex, but about my journey as a photographer building a business from scratch. This is huge, Alex said when I told her. This is the kind of exposure that will bring in real clients. They specifically said they want to focus on my work, not us. Good. That's exactly what should happen. Your talent should speak for itself. The interview happened at my apartment. The journalist was kind, professional, and genuinely interested in my photography philosophy. We talked about my mother's cancer, about capturing authentic moments, about the struggles of freelance life. At the end, she asked one question about Alex. Your relationship has gotten a lot of attention. How do you handle the scrutiny? I thought carefully before answering. It's not easy. But I remind myself that the people who matter, my friends, my family, Alex, they know the truth. They know my character, and that's what counts. What would you say to people who question your relationship? I'd say that love doesn't look the same for everyone. Alex and I come from different backgrounds, but we share the same values. Honesty, hard work, caring about people. That's what matters, not bank accounts or social status. When the article came out 2 weeks later, the response was overwhelming in a good way. People shared it. Photographers reached out to tell me my story inspired them. And booking requests started coming in. Real ones, from people who'd read the article and wanted to work with me specifically. Alex framed a copy of the magazine and hung it in her office. So everyone knows I'm dating the most talented photographer in New York, she said when I protested. You're biased. Absolutely. And proud of it. Things weren't perfect. We still faced judgment. Still got invasive questions. Still had moments where the pressure of living in two different worlds felt crushing. But we also had moments like this. Alex teaching me to make pasta from scratch in her penthouse kitchen, flour on both our faces, laughing until we couldn't breathe. Me dragging her to a dive bar in Brooklyn where we played pool with my friends, and she discovered she loved karaoke, specifically terrible 80 seconds power ballads. Quiet Sunday mornings in my apartment, reading the newspaper and drinking coffee, her feet in my lap. Her showing up at a wedding I was photographing, not to interfere but just to watch me work, pride shining in her eyes. Me surprising her at her office with lunch when she texted that she was drowning in meetings. Learning each other, building a life together that wasn't defined by money or status, but by choice, by showing up, by fighting for what mattered. 3 months after James's Instagram post changed everything, Alex and I stood in that same garden where we'd first kissed. We'd come back to the venue for another wedding this time. I was a guest, not the photographer. One of Alex's business associates was getting married, and she'd insisted I come as her date. Public date, she'd clarified. No hiding. No pretending you're just a friend. I'd been nervous walking into a room full of wealthy, influential people. But Alex had held my hand the entire time, introducing me as her girlfriend with pride in her voice. Now we'd escaped the reception for a moment of quiet, drawn back to this garden like it was magnetic. Remember the last time we were here? Alex asked, pulling me close. I remember being terrified. Me too, she smiled. I was so scared you'd reject me. Or that I'd ruin our friendship with James. Or that we'd try and fail and I'd lose you forever. But we didn't fail. No, we didn't. She tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. We fought for this. Even when it was hard. Even when people said it wouldn't work. We're still fighting. We'll probably always be fighting something. She kissed my forehead. But as long as we're fighting together, I'm not afraid anymore. Music drifted from the reception, a slow song, romantic and sweet. Dance with me, Alex said suddenly. Here? Right here. Where it all started. She pulled me into her arms and we swayed gently, alone in the garden with fairy lights above us and the sound of celebration in the distance. I love you, she whispered against my hair. I don't think I've said that enough, but I do. I love you, Emily Carter. My heart swelled so full I thought it might burst. I love you too. So much it scares me sometimes. Good scared or bad scared? Good scared. The kind that means it matters. The kind worth fighting for. She pulled back just enough to look at me, her green eyes shining. I want to build a life with you. A real one. Not just stolen moments and secret nights, but something permanent. Like what? Like mornings together every day. Like traveling together not for business, but for adventure. Like a home that's ours, not mine or yours. She took a breath. Like forever. If you'll have me. Tears pricked my eyes. Are you proposing? Not yet, she smiled. When I propose, I'll have a ring and a much better speech. This is just me telling you my intentions. I want forever with you, Emily. And I'm willing to fight for it as long as it takes. I pulled her close and kissed her, pouring everything I felt into it. When we pulled apart, we were both crying and laughing. Forever sounds perfect, I whispered. Yeah? Yeah. We stood there in the garden, holding each other while the party continued without us. Two women from different worlds who'd built something beautiful together. Something real. Something worth every challenge, every judgment, every moment of fear. Because love, real love, isn't about perfect circumstances or matching bank accounts or what other people think. It's about choosing each other, every single day, in the easy moments and the hard ones. It's about fighting for what matters. And we'd keep fighting. Together. 6 months later, my photography book was published. The launch party was held at a gallery in Soho, my photos displayed on white walls, people actually paying to see my work. Alex stood beside me the entire night, her hand in mine, beaming with pride. You did it, she whispered. Your dream came true. One of them, I said, squeezing her hand. James and Sophie came, along with my mom and my closest friends. Even some of the people who doubted us showed up, congratulating me on my success. At the end of the night, after everyone had left and it was just Alex and me walking through the empty gallery, she stopped in front of my favorite photograph. It was from that first wedding, James's wedding. A candid shot I'd almost forgotten about Alex sitting in the front row during the ceremony. Her eyes not on her brother getting married, but drifting to the side. To me, I didn't know you included this one, she said softly. I had to. It was the moment I realized you were looking at me too. She turned and pulled a small box from her jacket pocket. My heart stopped. Emily Carter. She opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. I promised I'd have a ring and a better speech when I proposed. So here it is. You make me believe in fairy tales. You make me want to be brave. You fought for us when I was too scared, and you've never stopped fighting since. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down my face as I nodded frantically. Yes! Yes! Absolutely yes! She slipped the ring on my finger, and I pulled her into a kiss that tasted like salt and joy and promises kept. When we finally pulled apart, I laughed through my tears. A billionaire and a photographer. People said it would never work. Good thing we didn't listen. She kissed me again. I love you. I love you too. Forever. Forever, she agreed. And standing there in that gallery, surrounded by photographs that told stories of love and hope and beautiful moments, we started writing the next chapter of ours. Together. So that's how we made it. That's how Alex and I built something real when everyone said it was impossible. If this story touched your heart, if Emily and Alex's journey reminded you that love is worth fighting for no matter the obstacles, please hit that like button and subscribe to Love Beyond Rules. And here's what I want to know. Have you ever fought for something everyone said was impossible? Have you ever had to choose between what's easy and what's right? Have you ever loved someone so much that the fear of losing them made you braver than you ever thought you could be? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your stories inspire me. Thank you for believing in Emily and Alex. Thank you for being part of this journey. Thank you for reminding me and maybe reminding yourself that when love is real, it's always worth the fight. This is Emily Carter, and this is how our story continued. Until next time, remember, the bravest thing you can do is fight for what matters most. See you in the next story.